24/7 mode was initially introduced in NBA 2K4. Once it came over to the next generation of consoles with 2K6 and 2K7, the mode got cooked beyond belief. I mean, it was gone by 2K8. But after playing the 2K5 version of this mode, I can say that it might be the most innovative mode I've seen in a basketball game from its time. To start 24/7, you gotta create a player. You can make the player as short as 4'6" or as tall as 7'6", regardless of the position. Which low-key the position it don't really matter. Now there's a couple different faces and hairstyles you can choose from, but the standouts to me are the waves. And not just that, they got waves with the bald fade. But the most out-of-pocket hairstyle here is the Jerry curl. I couldn't believe my eyes when I first saw this. Anyway, after you get your base look down, you can go onto your accessories where you can equip headbands, shades, armbands, leg sleeves. You can adjust the short length, sock length, tats, and to end things off, they even let you make your own shoe, from the uppers to the heels, the soles, all of that. Your shoe might turn out nasty looking, but you gotta make something for the one time. Once your player is good to go, you then get introduced to the battleground map, which is where everything in the whole mode goes down. To progress in the mode and unlock more spots on the map, you gotta earn rank points by completing different events available to you. Once you earn enough rank points, you get a boss battle. You beat the boss, you unlock the next level of events, which give you even more points upon completion. There's 3 levels in the game, and every level, the competition goes up overall wise. And by level 3, you gotta play against Vince Carter, Kobe, Tim Duncan, all of them. The ultimate goal of the mode though is to beat the 3 bosses, which I'll get into them later, because that's when truly unethical hoops starts being played. But the one thing that takes this mode to the next level is the fact that it's based on your actual time. Whatever you set your console's time to, the game reads it and bases everything around it. So at the top of every hour, all of the events on the map refresh and new ones come in. You also have access to a schedule book, which allows you to make appointments to play different events that happen at the start of every new hour as well. The craziest thing of all though is that when you leave the mode and come back to it later, your stats can decrease depending on how long you didn't play. Now I don't know how long you have to wait before your player just starts becoming buns, but playing this day to day, I didn't have any of my stats decrease, thankfully. Now the last thing I need to mention about the basic premise of the mode is your phone book. As you play events, any player you beat might give you their phone number, which comes in handy when you need to run 2v2 events and do certain training drills. There's a chance they could decline, but the more you play with them, the more respect you earn, leading to them accepting your calls more. To upgrade your player, you have to train, which you do by going to a training facility and running drills to increase your stats in whatever category you want. For the most part, you can upgrade your speed, but if you want a better 3-ball, you do whatever drill is available to you at the time and aim for the highest score possible. And from there, you get your attributes raised accordingly. And I gotta put emphasis on whatever drill is available to you at the time, because the drills themselves refresh too. But you can run a certain drill like 2 or 3 times and then randomly get a different one, or you can run the same drill like 10 plus times and it just won't change. Though I need to mention that some drills are better than others in my opinion, both in terms of usefulness and how doable they are. For example, the drills you gotta do to up your blocking, the main premise is that you gotta get a good contest or block for a certain amount of points. Sometimes the mission will tell you to contest all shots. Sometimes it'll tell you to just contest jumpers. Other times it'll tell you to just contest layups and dunks. The problem is that regardless of the variation you get, you're just playing one-on-one and hoping that whoever you're going against does what the mission is looking for. As you train, your stats will go up and the drills will get harder. Your minimum goals are gonna start to increase, and higher rated players are gonna start stepping in, trying to help you with the drill and whatnot. Now the highest you can grind a stat is 100. So if you're really trying to get active as soon as possible, I suggest just getting a 100 3-ball, 100 steal rating, because they're gonna be essential by the time you get to level 3. In total, there's 9 different courts events can take place at, each of them having their own unique look to them. And depending on when you play them, it could be day, evening, or night based on your game's clock. The 3 bosses also have their own course as well, so really the total comes up to 12. To keep it a stack though, there's a lot of events in this game, to the point where I was even finding new ones deep into level 3, about to face the final boss. So I'm gonna try to quickly talk about as many as I can, which before doing so, I should make 2 things clear. First, level 1 events end at 11 points, and level 2 and 3 events end at 21 points. Second, there's no fouls. The only rule that really exists is out of bounds. So some of these games start getting outrageous with the higher overall players you gotta go against. Anyway, to start off, you got your basic 1s and 2s, self-explanatory. Then there's one where there's only 3s allowed, but only for you. Your opponent can do whatever they want. Now to my knowledge, I don't think any other event in the game really functions like this, so I'm not too sure why this one does. Moving on from there, you got small ball events and giant ball events, where the small ball is very easy to score with, and the giant ball makes simple shots like layups become a straight dice roll. That giant ball is gonna sell you at the worst time possible, I guarantee you. They got a survival challenge where you gotta beat as many opponents as possible. However many points they scored against you carries over, or your points reset game to game. There's 3 game tournaments where you gotta play 3 straight 1v1s. There's a seesaw event where you and your opponent starts at 11 points, and every point you score gets subtracted from your opponent's score, and vice versa. I ain't gonna lie, I played this one time. The game is to 21 and it takes a while to finish. Speaking of more events I only played once, there's a reverse control one. Your left stick becomes completely cooked. The only time I did play it was during level 1, so I only had to go to 11 points, and the guy I was going against, I could just drive around him after I was trying to develop new muscle memory on the spot. The moment I had to play this in a level 3 event, I quit immediately. Which, speaking of, there's a random wildcard event that can give you any mode at random, and you can get lucky and get one that you like, or you can get a reverse controls one like I did and quit out the game. You got a historic event where you run ones against different legends in the game at random, but I think the one event that stands out above all of these different challenges is the one where you hoop with a bomb. There's 3 different versions of it. There's one where it explodes based on a timer, one where it explodes based on the amount of dribbles taken, and one where, depending on what scores reached, it'll then explode. There's a few more events that I ain't even mentioned, but in terms of the really rare ones that I've only had pop up for me once has been a game of 21, the historic one, and quick ball, where the faster you score, the more points you get. So yeah, there's plenty of different events. Whichever ones you enjoy the most are probably gonna be the ones you grind the most with all the rank points and whatnot. Which, speaking of, you get more rank points depending on the level of event and your game grade. Now, before I move on to the bosses, I gotta mention a glitch I came across where the ball just completely disappeared. This happened to me the first game of a tournament, and I had to play the whole tournament like this. The 3 bosses of the game are 6th Sense, Game Face, and Phenom. 6th Sense is the first one you go against, and it's a straightforward 1v1 to 11. It's really nothing crazy going on here. Just ethical hoops. Now, Game Face, this is where the bull starts. I thought the ball was just randomly enlarging and shrinking with no real reason. But then, you know, the deeper I got into the game, the more I realized that whenever he has the ball, it becomes a small ball. Whenever you have the ball, it becomes a large ball. So in other words, bro is actively cheating against you. You gotta hope for some excellent contests and hope that the giant ball does not sell you. First to 21 wins. Finally though, there's Phenom, which if you're sensitive to things flashing, I highly recommend you tread this section of the video carefully. With Phenom, the game starts off normal. Too normal. Like it's just a plain 1v1 to 21 until you score a couple points. Cause after you get a couple buckets, some strange things start to occur. Now when I first saw this, I thought my game was tweaking. Ball already disappeared earlier, so I'm thinking it's a glitch. But nah, this not a glitch. The more points you score, the more he starts to flicker. He wanna be Shisui so bad, bro. Anyway, it gets to a point where it's low-key hard to even look at. But then it starts to slow down. And the closer the game point you get, the more it becomes clear that bro is clear. He has officially went invisible. He has phased out of reality just to get a bucket. This is where your 100 3-point shot and 100 steal truly comes in the clutch, in my opinion. Cause my strat was just to chase the ball, spamming the steal button, and shoot threes as soon as I get the ball in my hands. I couldn't tell where he was at or what he was doing. But after you beat him, your final reward is that you no longer have to suffer stat deterioration. So your player will be good to go no matter how long you last played the game. Every boss you beat also gives you their number, so you can hoop with them in any event you want going forward. But yeah, with that, the main quest of the game is complete, and you can just hoop and do whatever you want at peace. Now there's one last thing I haven't mentioned this whole time, and that's customization. As you play through the mode, you unlock different jerseys, shorts, shoes, all types of accessories like backpacks, hats, basketballs, all that. Some of these items you get at random after completing an event, and some of these items you can get after reaching certain rank point milestones. There's also certain items you can only get if you reach 100 in some of your stats. For example, once I got to 100 rated 3-point shot, I got a Benny the Bull mascot head. But by the time I beat Phenom, I realized I only had 11% of the items unlocked. But thankfully, there's an old cheat code out there that you can use to unlock everything. If you name your character Ray Graham in all caps when creating them, you can unlock every item in the game off the rip. Now I can't find much information on the code, but from what I can tell, it's named after a programmer who worked on the game at the time. When I put this in for the first time on a new player, I was flabbergasted, gobsmacked. The amount of customization there really is in this game mode is crazy. You can go with a classic team mascot look with the full warm-up suit plus the mascot head. You can make Basketball Man with his trusty launched the basketball backpack with plastic bags over his shoes to make sure they fresh 24/7. You can wear a mech helmet that comes from a different Sega game called Virtual On Cyber Troopers with Beats skates from Jet Set Radio, a Sonic Ring bracelet, a random snowboard with some car slippers. There's so many unique items here that it's really hard to show all of them off. Unfortunately though, outside of RNG, I really don't know how you're supposed to unlock most of these items. But after you complete the main quest of the game, I'm assuming the items are supposed to be kind of the side quests maybe? With you just randomly playing events and hoping for a good drop. But with how many items there are, I mean golly, you gonna be grounded for a minute and you ain't gonna know what you're getting. 24/7 is a mode that got a lot going on at all times. It's a fun and ambitious mode that gets crazier the deeper and deeper you get into it. It doesn't take too long to beat, but the rank grind was definitely getting to me on that last stretch leading up to Phenom. Regardless, I think the mode is a classic and it was truly ahead of its time.